If you were to read like thousands of books about people that knew a bunch of shit, like you start finding out that it's not really about knowing anything, it's about where to go to get the information. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like when we look at all the ruins all around the world, like we're not seeing ruins of colleges and universities and all of that. We're seeing temples and synagogues and churches, but people don't understand that that's where that information was coming from for that period of time. When we went to these temples, they weren't in there singing and reading from a book. They were in there being taught things that they were able to go put into practice. 100% of the writings across the world, whoever said anything about space or the universe or what was out there, why were all of them correct, Joe? It's not even possible. How did they know that Mars was the red planet, and why was it a worldwide fact?
Right.
Planetarily, that Saturn had rings, like, based upon what information? Because nobody worldwide is disagreeing. Nobody's like, oh, I thought of this, or it came to me in a dream. Nobody's saying that anywhere in anybody's civilization. Everybody's civilization says this information came from the people that came from there.
Yeah.
There are no coincidences.
They think that the people who built the pyramids built them way earlier than the conventional dating is. They think there's real evidence that shows they're 9,000, 11,000 years old. Easy.
No people built the pyramids.
No people?
No.
Who built them?
No people built the pyramids. And if you look around the world, you see certain telltale things that let you know that advanced machinery was in usage. Look, this whole thing where slaves are stronger people is a fallacy. We like to believe that slaves are stronger. Slaves are weaker because they don't eat the right food and they live a terrible life. Your slave population is not smarter and better condition unless you're enslaving the Jews.
They stopped thinking that quite a while ago. They think it was actually skilled labor because of the way they were eating. They found what their camps were, where their food was. They ate like very good food. So they think they were actually skilled labor, but also probably forced skilled labor. But that's probably not the people who built it. That's probably the people that were working on it. That's probably the people that worked in the village or in the city.
How many companies have done renovations on the White House? None of them have done enough renovation that they can claim it's their White House. So, yes, thousands of years worth of people were there. But that doesn't have anything to do with the building of it.
Who do you think built it?
Well, understand, we know enough now to understand that this was a complex. This was not...
Right.
We've been led to believe that this is how much they worshipped their dead bodies.
Right.
But the evidence doesn't show any of that.
No, it doesn't.
Like when you see inside, when they have those intricate carvings and paintings and stuff in gold and stuff, you have to remember this is in a windowless room, folks. There's no candle soot. There's no... it's clearly a power plant and built specifically for that location on this planet.
What do you think it was powered by?
The hot water springs underneath it.
So it was powered by the hot water springs? To what end? How do you know all this, first of all? Is this marijuana talk?
I don't think so. This is...
Where did you read this?
If you follow information about humankind, you find out that in all parts of history, people were coming to this region for their information and their knowledge and their things that were forbidden, and these were not these were the highest of human civilization.
Not even comparable to anyone else.
No.
Nor since. Nor
Now
since.
or, yeah,
Nor since.
right.
The Great Pyramid of Giza is insane.
Right. like,
It's insane.
like even Tesla says that this is where he came to get the information. But if you follow that information pathway, it leads you to this character called Thoth, right? And the emerald tablets of Thoth are literally mind-changing and mind-blowing, just because you understand when this was written and the terminology being used is
When was it written?
far too accurate for now. Because if all you care about is information, right? Like, that's what you start to see is when you get to everybody's civilization, Asian, Indian, African, when you get to the crux of their information, nobody's disagreeing with anybody.
Right.
The greatest trick is to make us believe that people back then were dumber and we're
Right.
smarter.
Right.
And that whole thing is a fallacy.
Yeah, that's
And
definitely not real.
But it's worth it for us to believe that. As a preteen, I knew that Atlantis really existed, just because of how it was spoken of offhandedly
Mm-hmm. Just that it was
in
known to
early
exist.
writings.
Yeah.
Well, not just mentioned, but mentioned offhandedly, like you would a place that's just a landmark.
Right. We landed in New York before we went to Montreal. Yeah.
We were in Austin,
Yeah.
by Dallas.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, my whole life I was like, this is really weird, because at one period of time we're thinking no flood happens. There's so many things that have lined up from these great religious books
Yeah.
where we can see that no, something happened here. Like,
Something happened, and these are stories of people telling stories that have been told to them for about 1,000 years.
but
before
this
anybody
is
wrote it
why,
down.
right?
Yeah,
This is
because
why
something
they
happened.
were told, and that's what
Yeah.
that's the difference between those of us that want to know the world's mysteries and conspiracy theorists. Like, there's
Right.
nothing to a conspiracy theorist, because you're not producing what you're using. But these world mysteries, like, that's harder to do. A lie is not something that people are going to repeat for generations on generations. It's being repeated like that because people have reason to believe it to be true. And as you go through history, you see that those are the stories that we still talk about, but they're still valid. Like there were writings that the African Dogon tribe is like
Right.
they're
From like the Sirius star system.
like they're saying very specific
Yeah.
things, and for hundreds of years we're going, you guys are idiots. You don't know what you're talking about, right? Like
Right.
somebody will have a fake star story,
Right.
you see?
Right.
And now we get to the point where we can actually see what they were talking about.
What if we find out that we're aliens? That we were just dropped off here a long ass time. The Adam and Eve story is the story of the place where they created us.
I'm sure we're the only people in the universe that think like that.
You think so? Why do you think that?
No portion of humankind's story differs from that.
It's all creation story.
Like, if you go, that's why NASA and Space Force are not more forthcoming, because the further you get in space, the more obvious shit is. Like, once you're